where is the best place to put OSB? So we do get asked this quite a bit. The common, normal, default place to put OSB is on the outside of the timber frame. It's easier for the timber framers to put it there. You've got a continuous external surface that you can get to. You've got something to put your membrane onto. You can fix your wall ties to it. It's easier when they're putting the whole thing together. So, timber framers want to put it there. We say the exact opposite, of course. Tell me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, we recommend that the OSB, which is a necessary layer for racking in most timber frame instances, we recommend that it should be on the inner face of the timber frame. And whilst that can be a little bit more complicated for the carpenters, it's really useful because it can help to establish this diffusion gradient. And we're usually looking to have a sort of 5 to 10 times higher diffusion resistance on the inner face of the timber frame compared to the outer face. And so in our applications, we can have continuous layers of tongue and grooved sheathing or sarking insulation on the exterior face of the frame, which is very, very vapor permeable, and then the higher resistance layer of the OSB on the inner face. And that's really useful actually for us, because in most instances we're going to incorporate an airtight and vapor control layer anyway. And if you've got a continuous layer of OSB on the inner face, then it's a really useful, fully supported surface onto which you can mount the membrane. It makes the taping or the overlaps really, really easy. So it's a really good place to put it from our perspective. You've got some other thoughts on why it's useful as well, don't you?
Well, so I was just going to say, that's the reason that timber framers want to put it on the outside, because they want their membrane to go on something. But in terms of the aging of the building, timber frame buildings always move quite a lot. As the timber dries, it slightly twists, it moves around. And what you'll find is if the sheathing board's on the outside, all of the movement in the timber is basically transferred to the inner face. And if the only board on the inner face is a sheet of plasterboard, you'll find that all the joints open up, you get cracks in the corners, and you get a lot of movement on that inner face. And within 5 years or so, you've got to redecorate the interior of the building, because there's just cracks everywhere.
And the exterior face is generally a bit better able to accommodate that.
Well, the exterior face is usually covered by something else anyway, so movement on the external face is usually less of an issue, particularly if you've got wood fibre, that'll accommodate a lot of movement. If you've got a clad system, the bit of movement that you might get is behind cladding and membranes and all sorts of things anyway. But with the board on the inside, even after 10 years, the buildings that we've been involved with, there's just no movement on the inside, because all of that movement in that timber has gone to the outside face. So even just from a decorative point of view, it's better to have it externally. The other thing about putting the boards internally is, as you say, you can use the boards as the airtightness layer. So with Smart Ply, Airtight, or the Duralis vapor block boards, putting those on the inside, you've just got to tape all the joints, and there's your airtightness layer for the whole building. So having that structural sheathing board on the inside, there's a lot of practical reasons that you'd want to do that.
Yeah, and if the OSB does, for whatever reason, have to be on the exterior face, the main concern that we have really is that you've got this relatively moisture tight layer on the outer face of the building. There are other boards that you might be able to source that do a similar thing with a lower resistance, but if it's just fairly standard OSB, there's really two things that you need to consider. First is that the air tightness measures are extremely good, because the risk is slow air leakage from the inside, which is warm air carrying quite a lot of moisture, and it can become trapped at that exterior surface of OSB, cool down and deposit moisture in the OSB.
It's going to condense on the back of the board.
Need to rot. So you want to make sure that you're really championing good air tightness measures to try and resist that convective movement of air, but also maybe using a slightly tighter vapor retarder or more resistant vapor retarder to overcome the vapor resistance of that exterior layer of OSB and establish that sort of 5-to-1 diffusion.
Exactly. So we'd normally go from our standard membranes, which have got an ST value, so a sort of vapor resistance of 5 meters. We'd go up to the DB90, which is about 20 meters, so 4 times more vapor tight. But even that, on the scale of if 1,500 is a complete vapor barrier, or pretty much a complete vapor barrier, 20 meters is still
quite
pretty
weakly,
vapor open.
weakly retarding, grand scheme of things.
Excellent.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you.